Welcome to the Baraza. Here we demystify the miseducation of Africa and Africans by tracing our roots, values, and dissect our social issues. Let's talk. This week on the Baraza, we dive into one of the darkest realities of our time, human trafficking. It's not just a crime, it's a stain on humanity that persists in the shadows, hidden behind closed doors and veiled by silence. For some, trafficking is an abstract issue, something distant and foreign. For others, it's an inescapable nightmare that has stolen their freedom, dignity, and even their lives. Tonight, we shed light on this darkness, exploring the uncomfortable truths and asking questions that may leave you angry, horrified, and determined to act. Picture this: a small bustling market in East Africa. Children laugh as they play nearby, vendors shout, and the aroma of roasted maize fills the air. Among the crowd, a man approaches a struggling mother with promises of a better future for her son. He'll work in the city, he says. He'll go to school, send money back home. Desperation clouds her judgment, and she agrees. Days later, her son finds himself on a remote farm, forced to work from dawn to dusk under threats of violence. This is not an isolated story. It's happening every day, not just here, but around the world. Now, shift your gaze to a small village in South Sudan, where war has left families destitute and children vulnerable. Here, human traffickers operate under the guise of aid workers. They promise safety, education, and hope. Instead, children are funneled into networks of exploitation, some forced to fight in armed conflicts, others trafficked into domestic servitude in faraway cities. These children become invisible, their lives stolen before they even have a chance to begin. And trafficking isn't limited to the destitute or desperate. Even the sanctity of marriage has been tainted by this crime. Picture Asha, a young woman in Kenya, who was forced into an arranged marriage with a man twice her age. Her new life quickly turned into a nightmare. Constant physical abuse, isolation, and unpaid labor. Her husband controlled her every move, even her access to her own identification. She couldn't leave. She had no money, no support, and nowhere to go. Trafficking is not always chains and cages. Sometimes, it's the invisible shackles of control and fear. The world of human trafficking also intersects with spaces we least expect. The Missionaries of Charity, Mother Teresa's globally respected foundation, faced allegations of child trafficking in their adoption programs. Desperate mothers were deceived into giving up their children, only for these children to be sold to the highest bidder under the guise of legal adoption. Institutions we trust can sometimes be complicit in unimaginable crimes. Take a moment to like and subscribe as we journey across the continent on a quest to not only change Africa's narrative, but also educate and entertain. Let's turn to Europe, where traffickers exploit the hopes of migrants seeking a better life. Each year, thousands of Africans attempt to cross the Mediterranean, desperate to escape war, famine, and economic despair. Traffickers promise safe passage, but these migrants often end up in horrific conditions. In Libya, holding camps become sites of unimaginable abuse. Men are forced into backbreaking labor, women are sold into sex slavery, and children are exploited for organ trafficking. Yes, organ trafficking, where the value of a human life is reduced to the price of a kidney or liver on the black market.
They can shoot people like that, people dying every day. Yeah, Libya is not good.
God save our life, because we don't have hope.
If you're there in the car inside, they see you, they go shoot you. Every time they shoot our blacks. That's why you go enter this boat.
Closer to home, even the bustling cities of Nairobi and Johannesburg are not immune. Consider Grace, a domestic worker who traveled to Kenya from Uganda, lured by the promise of fair wages. Instead, her employer confiscated her passport and forced her to work 18-hour days without pay. Isolated in a foreign land, Grace's cries for help went unheard. Trafficking isn't always about poverty. In South Africa, there have been reports of wealthy businessmen implicated in trafficking rings, exploiting women for sex and children for labor.
Being taped up and you're naked in a dark room and your hands cuffed, it was, you know, you don't know who comes in and who goes out. And I was really thinking that the person I came to see was a friend, and it wasn't. It was just a lie. And just being 2 weeks, no food, no nothing, and you just smell like semen. And after that 2 weeks, it was the anger of life, that you don't like life at all. And it was straight into drugs and prostitution from club to club in Johannesburg.
In one high-profile case, a luxury hotel chain was exposed as a hub for trafficking operations, where traffickers use their wealth and influence to avoid prosecution. It's not just traffickers who are guilty. Corruption fuels this industry, enabling traffickers to thrive. Officials accept bribes to issue fake documents. Border agents turn a blind eye, and police fail to investigate complaints. And the elites? Public records have implicated powerful individuals who use their influence to perpetuate these crimes, ensuring the cycle of exploitation continues. Yet, amidst this darkness, there is hope. Awareness is the first step to action. Recognizing the signs of trafficking can save lives. Look for individuals who seem controlled, fearful, or unable to speak freely. Do they work long hours without pay? Are they isolated, living in overcrowded conditions? These are red flags that must not be ignored. What can you do? Start by reporting suspicious activity. This episode's description includes hotlines and resources for countries around the world. Share this information widely. Support organizations that help survivors rebuild their lives. And most importantly, don't look the other way. Human trafficking is not always the chains you see. Sometimes, it's the invisible bonds of silence and complicity. Breaking those chains requires us all to stand up, speak out, and act. Tonight, on the Baraza, let's be the voice for the voiceless. Let's shine a light where shadows thrive. Together, we can be the change these victims so desperately need.
I've met incredible people that believe that I am a different person instead of the people that I met when I was going through the process of change. So I'm at an amazing place, and I'm looking forward actually to be on the front line and say no to this thing of human trafficking and prostitution and rape. Say to the parents, look at your daughters, talk to them, tell them how beautiful they are, because they're going to try to look at from somebody that's going to take advantage of them.
Thank you for watching. Join us next week for another demystifying journey.